Ford is waking up to people's choice. It is time for Ford to rethink its loss-making EV strategy. The EV market is facing trouble, starting from crashing sales to higher insurance costs. The distress in the EV market started long ago. Recent happenings in the field are pointing toward a crisis. It is where Ford's bold move made an impact. Let's get ready for an epic ride through the recent developments in the EV world. We're going to break down the Ford CEO's statements and speculations and find out their impact on the EV market. Strap in for an off-road journey like no other. It's time to see if Ford CEO's words make any sense to the automobile world. Ford has had enough scores in terms of electric vehicles. Ford CEO has stated that the company has decided to shut down its entire EV production. The Ford company has finally heard the commoner and his needs. They are ready to go back to gas cars. We are taking advantage of our manufacturing flexibility to offer customers choices while balancing our growth and profitability, said Ford CEO Jim Farley in a statement. This statement itself is a sign of Ford moving away from EVs. For a long time, Ford has been a significant name in the field of automobiles. However, as the American government started emphasizing the electrification of the US, its hold began to weaken. Ford already lost more than $4 billion on EVs last year, selling EVs at a shocking loss of $36,000 per vehicle. January EV sales are literally the worst in the entire decade, and that backed Ford to ditch EVs and now become the #1 car maker again, leaving brands like Toyota, GM, and Tesla in the burning field of EVs. Now, the million-dollar question appears in everyone's mind. Why? What led Ford to make such a drastic decision? In fact, there are many. The EV market is witnessing a full-scale market collapse, pushing some of the companies to bankruptcy. Even though the government is investing more than $9 billion in the electrification of the nation, there are areas of concern. That is the very reason why Jim Farley just straight up abandoned those EV plans to save his company from closing its doors. For around 3 years, Ford has been exciting its electric vehicles like crazy, be it the F-150 Lightning pickup or the Mustang Mach-E. However, it was not as successful as expected, as the public has refused to buy overpriced EVs despite the government push. One of the important models, the flagship Mustang Mach-E, only sold about 1,200 units last month, a huge 51% drop from last year. Was the F-150 Lightning a savior for Ford? In the battle of EVs, Ford expected the F-150 Lightning to be a lifesaver, but the growth was slower than expected. The Lightning starts at about $50,000 and is eligible for $7,500 in federal EV tax credits. Even with the tax credits, the price remains higher than the $34,000 base price of the gas-powered truck. This was a drawback for Ford when it came to common people. Ford has raised and lowered the price of the Lightning several times since it hit the market in 2022, starting at about $40,000 for its least expensive model, which was Lightning Pro. In July, Ford slashed the price of a Lightning Pro following earlier increases to about $50,000, but the results were not satisfying. As a result, Ford is planning to slash manufacturing of the F-150 Lightning, pick up by 50% at the start of next year. Even though Lightning sales increased this year after a 55% jump to 24,000 trucks last year, Ford sold 24,165 F-150 Lightning trucks last year in the United States, up 55% over 2022, out of about 750,000 total F-150 US sales. Ford shares were up 1%. As part of this plan, the company will cut production at its Michigan Rogue Electric Vehicle Center to one shift starting April 1, 2024. In October, the automaker said it would temporarily cut one of 3 shifts at the Michigan plant that builds the electric F-150 Lightning pickup truck. Now, why are the EVs not a green card for Ford? EVs have always been seen as a solution to environmental problems, but they are now becoming the cause of the same. Even though they rely on electricity, they are often generated from fossil fuels and use rare earth metals mined in environmentally harmful ways. Despite EVs becoming famous in the US after the Biden government, finding a charging station is still an arduous task for customers. Batteries that just can't handle the cold are yet another nightmare to the customers. EVs are becoming greatly expensive to insure, with premiums potentially reaching $6,000 annually, which is extremely high compared to other vehicles. Higher maintenance costs makes people think that it is better to buy a gas car than just repair their EVs. The recent incidence of thermal runaway is the last one on the list. Thermal runaway is causing AVs to catch fire while charging. Despite all these drawbacks, why was Ford still backing electric vehicles? The US government is so fond of EVs that it has even announced that companies have to pay hefty fines if they don't sell enough EVs. The Biden government gave the public a $7,500 tax credit on EVs. Along with that, the government told Ford to increase EV prices, which shot up by nearly $25,000 compared to a gas car. In addition, interest rates were hiked, leading to people paying even $1,000 every month in car payments. President Biden has also issued a couple of insane mandates. There's a new directive that tells federal government employees to use EVs for their work purposes. The aim is to prioritize electric vehicles, trains, and public transportation for all official government business. The Biden government has also pushed super hard to make rules on tailpipe emissions. They've proposed some of the toughest regulations ever, with the goal of making a huge chunk of electric vehicle purchases by 2032. Last year, over 3,000 auto dealers literally said EVs are not selling and urged the US president to let the people choose what they want rather than imposing expensive EVs on them. Now, what is Ford's way forward? Ford spotlights hybrid vehicles, which have the potential to increase fuel efficiency for trucks and make it easy for the owners while allowing them to go to the gas pump when needed rather than trying hard to find a charging station to plug in, as EVs do, as automakers struggle to figure out how many EVs are to be built and what prices will work for the market. Ford says it will work to tiptoe consumers away from internal combustion engines into electrification. More hybrids are coming soon to meet the new demand. That includes a broader lineup of hybrid Toyota SUVs, as well as more cars like the 2025 Ramcharger, a hybrid with a V6 engine that is more like a full EV than every other gas-burning truck available right now. Perhaps more automakers will hop on the hybrid bandwagon until most, if not nearly all, gas-burning vehicles have some form of electric power. Let the people decide what they want and how their drive should look like. Don't you think it is time to make the government leave the battlefield for the EV makers? Do let us know in the comments. Hit the like button and subscribe for more automotive news that sprouts in the industry. Until we meet again.